All right. Hope you had a nice, productive 3-day weekend. The only things we'll be working on for Tuesday are talking about our first set of vocabulary and having our discussion and analysis of the very, very long 4th of July speech. So for those of you who are completing this virtually, I'm just going to touch on this discussion first. I have, first of all, hopefully you already read the thing. If you haven't, then man, you're in for a long day. But yes, hopefully you have already read the space and Frederick Douglass's speech about the 4th of July. Hopefully you took some sort of notes or comments or something so that you have something to work off of and you're not starting from scratch. I have sent you an email. Again, if you have not received email me. But theoretically, I've sent you an email and I have assigned a certain section of paragraphs to you. So now that you've read the whole thing, look just at your section and read it again and read very closely to find the cat. Search for the cat. The cat is sneaky and it doesn't want to be caught. But find the cat, the choices, appeals, and tone of your section. So to receive your participation grade for this discussion, you will click this handy dandy reply button. And you will tell me what your section was, paragraphs, 1 through 10 or whatever your section is. I doubt it'll be that long. But, and then, give me your cat. Feel free to, kind of bullet point things. You can sort of like see and list all the things. Or you can, write sort of a paragraph, analyzing the choices, appeals, and tones that you saw. But yeah, another thing that you can do that will help out your participation grade is you can ask questions. If you don't see a lot and you aren't, really picking out much in the ways of choices, appeals, and tone, then maybe ask like, well, I don't know, I kind of saw something significant in this sentence, but I don't really know what that is. Is there a term to describe that? Or, definitely feel free to raise questions and either I or your intrepid participation point-seeking classmates will try to answer them. If you are, really active in reading posts of other people and commenting and responding on their findings, then yeah, hopefully you can get some extra participation. So anyways, that's the discussion portion, and obviously the people who are physically in class will be discussing in person, and I will assign you your lines in person rather than virtual. All right, so the other thing I wanted to talk about is vocabulary. First set of vocabulary. First up, we have a word that should be real easy by now. Exigence. You should be very familiar with an urgent need or demand. So what is the exigence of the speech, or for what exigence motivated you to do blah, 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 blah. So that urgent need or demand that drives you. The second word for this week, pungent, having a sharp smell or taste. Note that it says sharp, doesn't necessarily specify good or bad. So baking a cake in the oven can be quite pungent, but so can running over a skunk. So very, very sharp smells in both of those situations there. Okay, sorry. Next word is maladroit, describing someone who is very, very clumsy, has 2 left feet, tends to trip and fall or drop things or whatnot. The fourth one, transient. This word you should recognize from the Declaration of Independence, describing something that is temporary, something that does not last. So in North Carolina, we find that the weather is rather transient, tends to change rather rapidly, go from blue skies to hurricane force winds to snow, maybe within the same week. So definitely a transient experience around here, the weather. Fifth one, lesion, describes a wound or injury of some kind. So typically lesion is not like a serious wound, it's not an amputation, not that far. But it's a boo-boo. It's a serious boo-boo that you'd have to maybe get stitched up, or definitely, put a big Band-Aid or some gauze or some Neosporin on. So be careful if you Google image search that one, you'll get some gross things. The sixth one, dastardly. So dastardly is an adjective describing someone cowardly and mean-spirited. Villains are often described as dastardly. That dastardly Mr. I can't even think of a villain's name right now off the top of my head, but they committed such a dastardly action by stealing all the money from the poor orphans in the orphanage. So some sort of cruel act would make someone dastardly. The seventh one, inebriated. So someday, far off in the future, on a socially appropriate occasion, New Year's Eve, perhaps you have one too many glasses of celebratory champagne, and you say to your significant other, "Oh my goodness, I'm not going to be able to drive home. I'm a bit inebriated." So it describes being intoxicated, being a bit on the drunk side. But it's a slightly more classy implication than just saying someone is drunk. The eighth one, zenith, describes the highest point of something. So this can be a physical highest point of a mountain, the zenith of the mountain. It could be sort of a metaphorical, emotional highest point. The highest point of 2020 for me, the zenith of my 2020 experience was, and then you'd say something awesome and good. The ninth one, apparition. An apparition is just a slightly more sophisticated way to say you've seen a ghost, a mysterious, non-alive figure, wandering about in the afterlife. And the 10th one, illusion. So I've discussed this a decent bit when we've been doing some rhetorical analysis, but just a reminder, illusion with an A is not when you can see something that is not there. That is illusion with an I. Illusion with an A is a reference to something. So if you are trying to write a persuasive speech and your audience is religious, it might be appropriate to use a biblical allusion. Throw a nice old Bible quote in there to appeal to your audience. Okay, so that is your vocabulary. Now, just to give you an idea of how vocabulary is going to work, I'm going to try and alternate between starting vocabulary at the beginning of the week and starting it towards the end of the week, so that A-Day and B-Day students aren't always doing the same things with vocabulary. So trying to make it a little more fair. So A-Day students will talk about words on Tuesday, and we'll do a little bit more discussion and presentation on Wednesday. B-Day students, when you come to class on Thursday, we're going to be playing a vocabulary game, which will potentially result in extra credit. Now, obviously, if you have barely looked at these words, it will be very difficult to win game and get extra credit. So, do what you need to do. Make yourself some flashcards, make a little Quizlet or something, whatever your process is for incorporating new vocabulary into your everyday conversation. And then on Friday, B-Day students will take the vocabulary quiz in class, and A-Day students will take that at home, and I will send you the code on Friday. So that's how that goes. Okay, that's all I can think of for Tuesday. If I've missed anything crucially important, email me and ask, but otherwise, that's how our week will start, with some discussion and some vocabulary.